full stack of RTX 5000 GPUs, including the 5060 in early 2025? Huge Black Friday deals everywhere? Should you be buying those insane Black Friday deals right now, or should you be waiting for the new GPUs? Welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. We're going to be answering all those questions and more. Remember, if you get value out of this video, please give it a like. This makes a huge difference to the channel, and say subscribe for more cool PC content. With that, let's jump into it. This video is sponsored by VIP SCD Key. Say goodbye to crazy expensive Windows licenses and that terrible Activate Windows watermark. Right now, use the links in the video description, head over to VIP SCD Key and get a Windows 10 or 11 OEM license for a great price. Pick your product license, then use the PC Builder discount code PC25 for an additional 30% off during their Black Friday sale. Go to the activation settings on your PC, put in the code, and boom! Windows is fully licensed for a crazy low price. And Windows 10 can be upgraded for free to Windows 11. And they have Microsoft Office licenses too. Use the links in the video description. Let's talk about new GPUs and new CPUs even that we're expecting to launch in the new year in 2025, especially as we take a look at the deals that are out there right now for Black Friday, which we're also going to get to. Spooky Foo asks, will NVIDIA GPUs see better discount on Black Friday or when the new RTX 5000 series launches? Martix wants to know, what's the NVIDIA 50 series pricing gonna be? And Kitsu is currently waiting until 8800 XT, that's the RX 8800 XTs, but they don't know, should they buy it on release or should they get something now? What are my thoughts? So let's just kind of quickly review what are we expecting. We also just got a whole bunch of new rumors about the RTX 5000 series GPUs. So it seems like, based on the rumors that we're getting, that we are in fact not only going to get the RTX 5090 and 5080 announced in January, but very likely a 5070 Ti and a 5070 announced around that same time. And what we're expecting is that the RTX 5090 will be available in January, as probably will be the 5080. The 5070 and 5070 Ti should probably follow sometime, maybe February, maybe March. And then possibly the 5060 and 5060 Ti in March/April, sometime either the end of the first quarter or the beginning of the second quarter. That would be the most compressed launch that NVIDIA has done since like the 10 series. They dragged out, remember, they dragged out the 30 series. They really did drag out the 20 series too. They dragged out the 30 series. We actually spent a whole Q&A going at like through how many days it took from them launching the flagship to the launching the 60 series card. So the 1060, the 2060, 3060, and the 4060. And the 4000 series was the most drawn out. Now, obviously, that's because they made a huge mistake during the cryptocurrency boom, and they made too many RTX 3000 series GPUs. And then when the cryptocurrency boom ended, like I said it was going to, I guess they just don't listen to me, right? They had too many GPUs to sell off. That's what really ended up delaying the RTX 40 series. And obviously the cryptocurrency and the GPU shortage delayed the RTX 30 series as well, because there was a silicon shortage as well. But they don't have any of those constraints right now. And in fact, I will say, the way I've been thinking about this, I think has been wrong. I'm gonna tell you, my thinking on this has changed. My previous thinking was that everybody was so excited about AI. If you look at their earnings, NVIDIA now makes 10 times as much on AI stuff and data center, what's all AI, right? You just call it data center, as they do on gaming GPUs. And gaming GPU growth is pretty much flat. Meanwhile, the AI just every quarter it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. That is the big bubble right now that everyone's chasing, is AI. How much money can you make during this bubble right now before it bursts and it's not the opportunity to grab that money anymore? My thinking before was that, well, NVIDIA doesn't want to send any silicon over to gaming GPUs. So like the stuff like for the 5090, where they could use that in AI instead, they're going to charge as much as they can to lose the least amount of opportunity cost, right? Because if they sold to AI, they'd probably get 10 times as much revenue for that same piece of silicon that they're selling over to the gaming GPUs. However, my thinking on this has changed a little bit. I almost feel like NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang now looks at the gaming GPU business as just kind of a lifeline out there in case or when the AI stuff goes bust, or if it goes bust. And I know they're all in talking like it's never going to blow up, just like all the cryptocurrency people did too. And we all know how that one turned out. But I think what he's interested in doing is continuing to float this business out there as a safety net. So I don't actually think he's going to do any pricing stuff that would harm the safety net, because the amount of money that they're going to make by making an RTX 5090 that costs $3,000, for instance, versus an RTX 5090 that costs maybe like 1,900 bucks or just under $2,000, which wouldn't be that much of a price increase, frankly, over what the RTX 4090 has been selling for. Yes, obviously it's a price increase. I get it. It just wouldn't be like double the price, right? Which they could easily do right now. And I think the reason that they're not going to do that is because it really wouldn't make them that much more money. AI is where they're making the lion's share of their money. So keep the gaming GPU business floating, kind of keep it humming along. That way, if the AI stuff pops, then they have this to fall back on. Again, I'm not a fly on the wall, but it does seem to me like they're making moves right now to not drag out the RTX 5000 series so that they dump it all at one time. I think they feel like the gaming GPU business is a distraction from AI. Jensen wants to talk about AI every time he gets up on a stage. He doesn't want a long, kind of drawn out launch period where he has to keep getting up, making gaming GPU announcements. They barely talked about gaming GPUs at Computex. So I could be dead wrong about this, but it does seem like NVIDIA just wants to be, boom, launch the GPUs and kind of let's move on. And everything else will be AI, 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 AI. Until they have to launch the next generation of GPUs, or until they introduce the Super Series refresh, which we all know will come, the following year. And I don't think NVIDIA is interested in getting too crazy with the pricing, but they're not going to lose money. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying prices aren't going to go up at least a little bit. I'm just saying that they're not going to go nuts on the pricing like they did with a $1,200 RTX 4080 last generation. So all of this being said, we'll have to wait and see. And then of course we got AMD launching the next generation GPUs, which is going to be mid-range and below, because obviously they couldn't get the higher end stuff, the multi-chip modules, to work. They couldn't get to work. Keep hearing, well, Jason, that's not what they're saying. Look, they're putting a brave face on it. The brave face is, hey, the multi-chip module stuff didn't work. We're scrapping it. We're jettisoning that. We're actually jettisoning RDNA 5 too, apparently. This is the new rumor, and going to UDNA, which is the unified architecture between AI and gaming GPUs, which we'll have to see if that's the case. But with like the 8800 XT, 8700 XT, maybe the 8600 XT, whatever they call these GPUs that we're about to get, I really hope that they stick to their strategy of let's go win some market share. When they had the RX 580, I know this is a little bit dated, but they actually went out and they were aggressive and they got market share out there. And the RX 580 actually made the Steam hardware survey. You could actually see that people actually bought that GPU in significant amounts out there. And I just really hope that that's what they get back to. And I'm expecting all that stuff to probably be launched in January. So we'll have to wait and see. What about the 5080 versus the 4090? Yamera, do you think the 5080 is going to be better than the 4090? If not, then what's the right time to buy a 4090 GPU? The right time to buy a 4090 GPU was like, 3 months ago, basically, because they're gone. In fact, I just checked, 4090s are pretty much sold out just about everywhere. And right now, there's good reason for that, because the 5080, if you look at the leaked specs, it doesn't look like it's going to be as powerful as the 4090, at least not in terms of compute. Maybe in gaming performance, they'll be able to kind of get up to 4090 levels, maybe even exceed it. Maybe in ray tracing performance, it'll do better because of architectural reasons. Because of the US AI export ban for products going into China, that's why they had to stop sending the 4090 to China, and they created a new version of the 4090 called the 4090D, which was a cut down version to get around those export requirements, or just squeak underneath them, basically. They want a high-end product for the Chinese market. Chinese market's massive. It's absolutely massive. NVIDIA is not going to give that up. That'd be like giving up the US market or something. They're just never going to do that, right? So they want a high-end product to be able to sell, and it's probably going to be the 5080, and that's why the 5080 looks so cut down. Now, a lot of people expected a 5080 like Dragon Edition or a 5090 Dragon Edition, which just kind of met that same 4090 level of performance, but maybe at a cheaper price point. But thus far, we haven't seen any of that stuff get leaked. Not to say it's not out there. I mean, that doesn't mean just because it hasn't been leaked, it doesn't exist. But just going off of what we've seen so far, it seems like the 5080 is just going to be super cut down. The 5090, I'm super excited for. I think that's going to be a huge generational uplift. At least that's my expectation for it. But then again, because of the political considerations and the US export ban in there, the 5080 is going to be lower. It's just going to be way lower in terms of its performance, maybe 4090 levels. Now, listen, 4090 is a hugely powerful GPU, and if they could bring that performance down to a $1,000 price point, maybe that's the kind of performance that we're looking for. I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see on that. And I would just say if you wanted a 4090, it was already time to get one. All right, we got a lot of questions about Black Friday sales. What else? Should you be buying the stuff right now that's on super sale, or should you be waiting for the next generation of GPUs? So Scarbox asks, when should I purchase important parts to motherboard, the GPU, CPU? Definitely Black Friday, but what percent off should they be looking for in these parts? For GPUs, we've gone over this a couple of times in previous Q&As, typically around like Amazon Prime Day. So the three big sales that I think about are Amazon Prime Day in July, Amazon Prime Day in October, and then Black Friday, those sales. And if you look at the discounts that you typically get around them, Black Friday will usually have the other sales beat but just by a little bit, That's why I often say, if you're in July, take advantage of Amazon Prime in July. Don't wait until Black Friday because the deals aren't necessarily that much better. And we have seen some times where the deals in July, that Amazon Prime Day, were actually better than the Black Friday deals. Just has to do with like how they have like what available discounts AMD's ready to give, or NVIDIA is ready to give. NVIDIA almost never gives discounts, by the way, or Intel, or any of those partners. And then of course their board partners like Gigabyte, MSI, Zotac, other ones, they also can give individual discounts too. That's how they kind of get to that lower discounted price on Black Friday and Amazon Prime Day. But what about individual components? So GPUs is the one thing that people always think about. Oh, I'm going to get it when it's on sale. I would say, especially for NVIDIA GPUs, waiting for a sale is just a kind of fool's errand. It's almost a fool's errand for an NVIDIA GPU. And NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang stated this pretty clearly. He said, famously, he would never even give the Pope a discount. So he believes in the brand power. There's a whole business philosophy behind not giving discounts, behind being the exclusive brand that you can only get if you kind of pay the price of admission there. And if you look at NVIDIA's history, they tend to not discount cards. They did discount like the 4070 and the 4060 Ti 16 gigabyte because those cards were massively overpriced, but only by $50. And then in terms of discounts, if you look at GPUs right now, the 4070 Ti Super, other than two models that are on super sale right now, which we have listed at $739, very close to MSRP. The 4070 Super right now, almost dead on to MSRP. So really no discounts there, even though we're in the Black Friday shopping period, and massive deals have dropped. Look at gaming monitors on the other hand. There are $399 OLED 240 hertz 1440p gaming monitors that are good monitors, $399. And for that class of monitor, just earlier this year, you were paying $1,000. Just let that sink in for a second. That is a 60% discount off a gaming monitor. You're not going to see that off a GPU. You see it most for an NVIDIA GPU, 10% maybe. AMD tends to give more depending on where they are in their sales cycle, what they have to move for the next generation. Right now, the reason AMD has to super discount their GPUs is because rather than launching high-end GPUs and still being able to sell through the rest of the stack that's lower down for the RX 7000 series GPUs, they're launching mid-range. So that's going to basically obsolete, if you will, just about everything in the RX 7000 lineup right now. So they got to get rid of all that stuff before they come in with those mid-range. Other components that often go on sale, CPUs often go on sale. And what has been happening at least the last couple sales cycles in Amazon Prime Day and for Black Friday is you're seeing more and more combo deals come together. Like right now, you can get the Ryzen 7600X and a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD, a Gen 4 one, for like $195 or $194. And basically with the cost of the SSD makes that 7600X like a $135 CPU, which is, that's insane. That's an insane deal. So we often see CPUs, motherboards will often get pretty heavy discounts as well. Power supplies to some extent, although those do run pretty close to cost. I believe there's not like a lot of wiggle room that they necessarily have to discount those. PC cases will often see a couple of models will usually go on super sale, and then the rest of them will get a little bit of discount off. But yeah, so around the big sales, I'd say if you're waiting for a sale, I would wait no more than 2 months out from a sale. Otherwise, I would probably go ahead and buy it then. Remember, the utility of having it when you want it has value too. So just remember that, and I'd kind of keep it all in perspective. And I wouldn't expect massive discounts on GPUs around some of these sales. So we put out a new CPU GPU combo. We updated it, given all the new CPU launches. I'll leave it linked down in the video description. You can check it out, especially the 9800X 3D, all the Intel challenges and stuff like that, and some of the huge Intel price cuts out there. But we always get tons and tons of these questions, and I just feel like I just need like a sanity check for y'all out there, because we're getting crazy questions about what should they pair, for instance. Let's start off with, as of multiple, I don't know how to say that one. I've got a 9800 X3D CPU, but don't know what GPU to go for. Stuck between the 4070 Ti Super and the Radeon RX 7900 XT. Now, either of those would be fine. I would say get the biggest GPU you can to get the most out of the 9800 X3D. And either of those GPUs will be perfectly fine. Depends on which one you want. The 7900 XT slightly faster. The 4070 Ti Super obviously better ray tracing. So there you go. That's really up to you. I would probably personally pick the faster one. I'm not a big ray tracing enthusiast. Not like the 7900 XT is terrible at ray tracing or anything. This is the 4070 Ti Super is just much better. And then of course we've got True Mombasa. Can I pair a Ryzen 7600X with an RTX 4070? And is it worth it? Yes, that's a pretty good pairing. The Ryzen 7600X with RTX 4070. I can't tell you the number of people who have submitted in our comments like, hey, I want to pair the 9800 X3D with a 4070. And you're like, why? You're spending more on your CPU because the 4070 right now is like $450, which is crazy. We'll have to post some of those deals out there. Check the links in the video description. We'll put some deals in there. But you can get an RTX 4070 for like $460, and the Ryzen 9800 X3D costs $479 if you can find it right now, if you can even find it. Why would you do that? Spend most of your money on your GPU. And this is a good combo, the 7600 with an RTX 4070. In fact, think about that. If you spent the difference right now, that CPU is like $130 CPU if you get the Newegg deal, right? If you spent another $340, $350 on your CPU, that's $350 that doesn't go to your GPU. That's why just balance that out. Check out our CPU GPU combo video. And I can't tell you how many of these I see. We got MC Time. They plan to upgrade from a GTX 970 to an RTX 4080 Super. And I want to play 4K, but my CPU is the i7 4790K. All of you 4790K owners, what has happened to your brains out there? Because I see more than any CPU, I see this all the time. Would my CPU bottleneck my GPU performance? Yes. The i7 4790K, just to quote Indiana Jones, belongs in a museum. It's 10 years old at this time. Yes, I know at one point in history, it was like this real, I own a i7 4790K, you know. Hey man, it ain't 2015 anymore. It's not 2015 anymore. That CPU is nearly 10, almost 11 years old at this point. Get rid of it. You can build a brand new $130 Ryzen 7600X if you get the combo deal with an SSD. You're already halfway there. You just need some RAM and a motherboard. You're off to the races. You probably need a new PSU. Your PSU, if anything, from that build is probably ready to go. So yes, build yourself a new build for an RTX 4080 Super and ditch the i7 4790K. All right, hugely upvoted comment, Jamin088. What the cat doing? Well, right now, as you can see, he's abandoned me. He's outside playing around in the yard. He absolutely loves. We always take him out kind of in the afternoon, just before his food hits, and he gets to go out, sniff all the things, and have a good time out in the yard. He was an indoor cat because we lived in New York City. Before that, we lived in San Francisco. He's been an indoor cat for a long time. So when we moved to New Orleans, now we actually have this thing called a house with a yard. He does get to go out in the yard on a supervised basis because he doesn't really understand what cars or anything are. So he wouldn't do really well kind of out in the open by himself. It's also just gotten cold here in Louisiana. We went from like 87 degrees every day, and the cats don't want to snuggle when it's 87 degrees. Let me tell you, I mean, we usually run the AC, but even so, they're off doing their own thing and they're having a good time. But all of a sudden, it's gotten down into the 50s here. And now the cats are just like, I feel like they've been suction cupped to us because they're just stealing all our warmth all the time. Right now, they are all sleeping on top of my wife. So she sleeps and then like literally cat. 3 cats on top of her. For whatever reason, they've decided to abandon me. But they typically rotate though. Eventually, I will become the heat host for a little while. We'll have to see how long that takes. But that's what the cats are doing right now. They're just being cats, basically. Remember, if you got value out of this video, please give a like. This makes a huge difference to the channel. And of course, subscribe for more cool PC content, like our look at Black Friday monitors. Check out some insane Black Friday monitor deals right now, right here. And we're keeping this list updated. Check it out, and we'll catch you on the next one.